Hey y'all, hey, it's your girl here, Rein, back with another wedding vlog installment. Welcome to the Anointed to Blame channel. If you're new here, I want to say welcome aboard. Thank you. I appreciate you for stopping by. I hope you stick around. And if you're not, if you're one of my faithfuls, you know I love you. And I got to say thank you because you're always supporting me and always tuning in. And this channel would not be what it is without you. So I want to take some time to appreciate all of you for watching little old me because it's a whole lot of people you could be watching. It has been a minute. I know you miss me. I miss you. I've been working for the last couple of weeks on my biggest wedding project to date. Love letters. Love letters. Now, that might not seem like a big deal, but it is a big deal to me. And when I started doing the research, I was like, yeah, the price, only if I want to sell my firstborn. So I'm about to show you how I did it. So get comfortable because it's coming up right now. Love letters are such an amazing enhancement to any wedding ceremony. From the time that I started seeing these popping up at ceremonies a few years ago, I fell in love. They come in a variety of fonts. Mostly they're white. Some of them are cardboard. They're lit up. They come in a variety of styles. And I just knew that one way or another, I had to have a set at our ceremony. Not only is it personal for me, but it's also a little bit prophetic. We've been through some major struggles. We've had to put our ceremony off for so long. We've been through hell and high water. And when you can stand together through storm after storm after storm, I knew that this would be the perfect statement for us to make at our public ceremony. So I went on the hunt for these love letters. And let me tell you, I was very disillusioned because I couldn't really find what I wanted. Now, I did find some tutorials and I watched some people make them out of foam board from Dollar Tree, and even foam board from Hobby Lobby. You can get about 5 feet tall. But I wanted them to be really durable. As I searched on Etsy and some other places, I did find them made out of styrofoam. They were running about $300 per letter for the height, the dimensions, and the width that I wanted. I was just a little bit disappointed. I did not want to spend almost $2,000 for styrofoam. It's not a bad thing, but I just felt like wood is a little bit more durable. I'll have these pretty much forever unless there's a fire. So I really wanted them made out of wood. You guys, I talked to carpenters. I talked to some of everybody. Nobody wanted to do it. Everybody kept saying, I think you need to find somebody to make these out of styrofoam. Well, if I wanted to find somebody to make them out of styrofoam, I would buy them out of styrofoam. I'm coming to you because I want them made out of wood. I mean, how hard is that? But nobody wanted to do it for me. Now, I did find a wonderful gentleman on Facebook Marketplace who was willing to make me these. These are 4 feet tall, 2 feet wide, open face. They weren't terrible. I mean, I can paint and I can decorate anything, and they would have cost me a total of $400, $100 per letter. Not a bad price, the cheapest that I found, but they weren't quite 3D. Now, in his defense, you saw some of the other styles. So these can, you can put lights in these if you drill holes. You can also put flowers in them. So they're not terrible, but they weren't quite what I wanted. So I'm here today to make them myself and show you my process. We're not going to go through a lengthy process. I'm going to be kind of touching on what I did so that you can get a sense of what I did and show you the final product. If you have any questions, you are welcome to leave me a comment and I'll be sure to answer you. And I will make sure that I list every tool that I use, every nail, every screw in the box below in the description so that you can recreate these with no problem. So that's enough about me talking about my woes of trying to find these love letters. Let's get started because that's what you came here for. I headed out to my second home away from home, the Home Depot, to find out how I could make these out of wood myself. So after walking the aisles looking at the different wood, I settled on this particular slab. It is a little bit expensive. It kind of blew my budget a little bit at $35 and some change per slab. Yes, I know that's a lot, but I really wanted these to be very durable. I thought this wood was very thick, so I decided to go with some slabs of this. Now, these come in 4 feet by 16 feet slabs. So I decided to do 4 feet by 2 feet wide letters so that I could get this one slab cut into 4 equal parts. Originally, I wanted these to be 5 to 6 feet, but it was going to cause me to have to buy double, almost triple the wood. So we just decided to keep it at the height that it already is to make the project a little bit easier for us. It is going to be a little heavy using this particular wood. And, we might have a few challenges with it, as I'm looking at it up close here. When you're trying to screw through that, it can be a little bit difficult, but I decided to go for it because, hey, I want these to last a long time, and short of a fire, they will. So I settled on this one. Don't judge me. Just because I didn't want to freak you out with that $35 and some change slab of wood, here's some that you can use for $14.95. See, they do have a good variety. This is the particle board that we used. If you watch my tutorial when I did the 4 feet tall mirror pillars, this is the particle board that we use. I opted not to use this time because I noticed that when we were making those mirrors, we had a really hard time finding nails that would not strip the particle board. When you're using particle board, it is made up of particles, so it's not as durable as wood, but it is an option, and all you have to do is find the right wood screws for it. Now that I've selected my wood, the next step was finding a nice worker that would cut this for me, and I was able to. Now, not every Home Depot will do this for you. It depends on the mood they're in, but if you get a really good guy like I did, they will cut it for you. Otherwise, you have to make an appointment. So he's cutting this in 4 equal parts. Now that we're finally home, the next step is to get the letter onto the medium. Now, there's a couple ways to do this. I'm using a projector to project that letter onto the wood. You can get some long paper and you can create a stencil if that works better for you. Or you can do what I'm doing and just trace it directly onto the wood. It is a little bit hard to see because we're working in the dark here with nothing but the light from the projector, but you can see that L on the wood, and that's what you want. You're going to do this for all 4 letters. Mine is a little bit off of the wood because of the way that I wanted to draw my L and my O and my V and my E, okay? So you're gonna project this onto your medium exactly as you want it, and then just get a ruler and a pencil and trace it out. And there you go. It's all traced out. Now, it is a little bit hard to see. I apologize for that because it is in pencil, but it is traced out. And you're going to do this for each time you do your letter. You're going to trace this out and prepare it to cut, but I just wanted you to see it. Now, I want to make a note about this particular wood that I chose. You see that wavy pattern in the wood? That got on my nerves because as I was drawing and tracing, I swear my eye kept going to an angle, so it kept looking like it wasn't traced out straight, and I did a lot of erasing before I realized it was my depth perception. So that is something to be mindful of if you use this particular wood, but I got them all traced out. And here is the fun part, cutting into it. Now, all you want to do is cut out the space that you don't need, and you want to be mindful that you don't cut into your letter. Ask me how I know, because I did that, and I had to go get some more wood at $35 a slab and start over on one of my letters. Nevertheless, we're using a saw that we got from Home Depot. I'll be sure to list all the tools that I ended up using that worked well for me in the description box. You know I will. But this particular saw, I gotta say, it was a little hard to work with. It's a tooth saw. It's not terrible, but it was hard. I mean, my hand was hurting. It was very shaky, and trying to get around those fine corners, this particular saw just was not really it. And it could just be because it was my first time, and I don't know. I'm not a woodworker, but I did find it very difficult to use this particular saw. You'll see one that we switched to. But again, the whole point here is to cut out the space that you don't need and to be mindful that you are cutting just the spaces and not into the letter. All right, that's going to be critical. And again, choosing this wood, given that it was very thick, I will admit that it did fight back just a little bit, which is why you see us kind of going into this cut a couple of times. It was a little bit hard to cut through it, and it probably is the blade that we chose for this particular saw. So that's something that you definitely want to be mindful of when you get ready to do this. You may want to talk to your Home Depot rep, show him what you're doing or her, and find out what saw works best. But stay tuned, because I do have another clip where I did use a different saw that worked wonders for me. And here's another clip of me using that same saw, just so you get a sense of how it works. So it's not totally bad, but as you can see, trying to keep it on a straight line was not as easy as I had hoped it would be. But again, if you have a straighter hand, you might be fine. Now here we're doing the O, and this is where I chose the circular saw, the hand circular saw that I also got from Home Depot. And when I tell you this was so much easier in terms of getting around those corners, all you have to do is lift it up and then just lay it. Now, if you're not careful, this little baby will get away from you. Okay, so you do want to make sure you do a couple of test cuts, practice with it so you get a sense of how powerful it is. But when I tell you this saved my wrists, my elbows, my hands, and it worked flawlessly. I was able to get through this project so much faster with this particular saw. Now, it did take me a little bit of getting used to it. As you see, I'm going back over that line because I actually did not cut all the way through. So you want to make sure that when you're using this, you really do lay it in there and cut all the way through. All right, so that's what I'm doing. I'm going back and I'm just cutting where I didn't quite get all the way through that wood. But again, this was so much easier to use. And so we finally have an L. We have the first face of the L. Now, I did not use the circular saw on the L. I just wanted to cut that clip in there and show you how I use it on the O. This was cut out specifically with that tooth saw that you saw, but we did manage to get it done, and it came out not too shabby, nice and even, just as wide and as tall as I wanted it. I'm so glad that we got that done. Now, I told you this wood can be a little bit tricky, so we did have some instances where it fought back. You can see right there, but I'm gonna cover it with mirror tile, so that really didn't matter too much, but you want to be careful not to strip the wood. Okay, so now we're ready to build out the 3D portion of this letter. Now, what you want to do first is decide how wide do you want your 3D to be. I settled on 14 inches, so we cut a 14-inch piece of wood in height, and we're just measuring it to make sure that it goes edge to edge. That's really important. You don't want it to be too long or too short because you're going to be building these edges all the way around every single section of the letter, including the small sections, all right? So you just want to make sure that you measure things very appropriately. Now, this is definitely a two-person project. You're going to eventually need somebody to help you hold it while you screw in the 3D pieces. And what you see my hubby doing here is going ahead and pre-drilling the holes into the side of the letter so that we can connect that piece of wood that you saw us measuring in the last clip. Now, you don't technically have to do this part. This was just easier for him. When my son and I started working on these, just the two of us while he was at work, we found it better just for him to hold it while I just went ahead and drilled it. No, we almost got through this whole letter, but our hammer broke, and so did our drill bit. But I just wanted to show you how far we got with the 3D portion before I show you what it looks like when it's built out 3D all the way around. Not looking too bad, not looking too shabby. It's going to be really great when it comes together. I just wanted you to see that in process. And it's day 2 and I'm working by myself today. Not too bad, but you see me here just drilling those 3D pieces on, taking those wood screws and using the drill to drill them in. I was actually able to secure this and do this part by myself, but it's really easy. This wood is pretty easy to work with when it comes to the drill bits. You just want to be careful that you're not pressing too hard. And hey, if a screw doesn't go all the way in, get that hammer, hammer it on in there. Measuring things accurately is going to be your best friend for this project, and cutting things in a straight line is essential. I don't think I have to say that, but I'm saying it because if you don't cut things right, you're going to have a warped letter. Ask me how I know. We had to take some pieces off and do some recutting. Now, I found that I had a hard time drawing a straight line across the length of the wood, even with a ruler. So Home Depot has what is called a chalk line. Now, this is like a measuring tape. You pour a little bit of the chalk in there and you pull the rope like you would on the measuring tape. You just connect it to one end of the wood, pull that rope, and then pluck it, and it leaves a nice little line on the wood. And then you take your ruler and you're just going to trace that out. Now, the reason that I am following that line with a pencil marking is because I found that when I started to use the saw, because of the wind of the saw, it was blowing the chalk off of the wood and I was cutting things kind of awkwardly. So I needed to make sure that I still had a very clear, solid line to follow. Now, I don't necessarily cut both of the faces up front. The reason I don't is because I know that sometimes when you're cutting this out, things can kind of get a little bit wider or a little bit thinner. So I wait until everything is built out, and I'm laying the L out on another piece of wood, and I'm going to trace that before I cut out the other part of the face. This is going to ensure that it is exactly the same and that it will fit perfectly when I get ready to adhere it. Now that we've gotten it all cut out, it is time to go ahead and mark where we want to wood screw these in. Now, you don't have to screw it all the way around. We're just drilling holes and we're getting ready to use the wood screws and attach this, all right? Now, I admit that my cutting was not flawless on the L. It did get much better by the time I did the other 3 letters, but that's okay because we're going to be painting and covering this, so you won't really see my flaws. But if you're doing this out of solid wood and just planning to paint it, you want to be very careful. All right, you definitely want to be very careful. So you just want to line things up and mark kind of where you want to put some of your key wood screws, drill your hole in advance, and then go ahead and screw those screws in. And I'll make sure that I let you know what screws I was using for this particular wood or the ones we ended up with. And we have an L. You have no idea how much this means to me. Now, I had to put this out on the balcony so you could actually see it. Forgive the bike and the spray painted ground. You know, it is what it is when you're a crafter. But nevertheless, I wanted you to see how it looks 3D. And I am so proud of this L. Like, we had so many major learning curves, given that this was the first letter. Everything from the saw not really being the best saw to understanding the wood and what screws work best for the wood. But nevertheless, we have an almost completed 3D L. I say almost because we still have to do the decorations, but I've never been so happy to get through with one letter in my life. This took us a couple of days. Like I said, drill bits broke, hammers broke, nails broke, but we got it all figured out, and the other 3 letters are going to be a breeze. Now, I'm not going to walk through all of the other 3 letters because I don't want to bore your patience, so I just wanted you to see the L, and we'll walk through a few other steps, and then I'll show you the final project. But y'all, we got an L. We got an L, y'all. Seeing my vision come to life is like, oh my God. Oh my God. Like, I don't know. I was so intimidated by this project. I don't know why. I'm always telling y'all the work of our hands are blessed. Whatever. I was tripping. But seeing it come to life, now I know that I can get this done. So we're going to go get the other 3 letters done because I cannot wait to show y'all the finished product. All right, so before we move on to the decoration and the painting, I just wanted to show you the finished letters. Please forgive the boxes and all of that. My house is wedding central right now, but we finally got all 4 letters done. A little bit of a learning curve on the O. Wood does not bend, so as you see those corners right there, we had to cut smaller pieces to fit that in there to close that out. The other option was to leave it open, and I did not want to do that. Also, I used some scrap wood. So, you know, if you have some scrap pieces, if you don't want to waste wood, you can use scrap wood to fill some of the pieces in if they fit and they're the right width. All right, so there is another pro tip for you if you don't want to have to go out and buy more wood, because I did notice that we really had to stretch this. But here they are, all cut out, and I'm super, super stoked. All right, now my favorite part of a project is always decorating it. And I went back to Home Depot to figure out what kind of paint I wanted to use. And I found this metallic paint at that, oh my God, hefty price of $49.97. But I really, really love these metallic tones. Now, lesson learned later as I was actually painting, I realized that, you know, I pretty much could have went with any silver paint. I did not use spray paint because I would have needed more cans and it would have cost me for this $50 paint. So you do want to get a big can of paint in order to paint all 4 letters. Now, before you paint, you want to make sure you prime things. When you're working with wood, you don't want the paint to seep in. And if you wear makeup, ladies, then you know the benefit of putting a primer on your face. It makes your makeup flawless. The same is true for when you're painting. You want to prime things so that the paint has a nice base to lay out on. And I got this one also at Home Depot for a little over $19. And I got to give a shout out to my baby boy, Tay Nova, who actually helped me build these letters for about 5 days straight. And now he is also helping mommy paint. If you're not following him on Instagram, you want to do that at TAENOVAH. The boy has gone viral for his amazing vocal ability multiple times and has been featured by so many major artists. So you want to check him out on Instagram. Anyway, he is helping me prime these. This is very important. You don't want to skip this step. Again, it's important if you think you can, because I'm one of those lazy people who don't like to do this step, but it's necessary if you want the paint to show up, especially if you're going to paint it a bright color. So you're just going to get the entire letter and saturate it in the primer. And there it is. It is all nice and primed. These look really good. You just want to make sure that you get every crevice. Again, it did not take long. We probably spent about 10 minutes painting 2 letters at a time, which is perfect because this is a perfect coat. And you know what? If you just want to prime it and leave it, you certainly can. I would just say be mindful of where you place your screws. And if you want to nail anything anywhere, use finishing nails. Those are the nails that don't have the head, so they will be hidden underneath the paint. But these came out really good. I love that primer. All right, and here's the most fun part of the project. This is actually painting it in the metallic silver. Now, it's not really giving you the sparkle that it does when you're looking at it up close. It almost looks like it's still white. As you can see, that is a really, really sheer paint. We had to go over about maybe 2 to 3 coats. We did end up using the entire can, but that's okay. We got our $50 worth, shoot. But I say, again, buy some cheaper paint. You don't have to buy expensive paint, but this one I really like. Now, you know I'm about all things bling, so this is always my most favorite part of any project is blinging it out and making it look dope. Like I said, I did not appreciate that I was going to be covering the whole letter when I bought that expensive paint, but I think that this metallic paint under the lighting is really going to sparkle and shine underneath that bling, so I'm not real mad at it. So I'm just taking my hot glue gun and I'm running that bling wrap in a few rows down just the 3D portion of the letter. Now, I found that it took me about 1.5 bling rolls to get each letter done. All right, so you need to figure that into your budget. All right, y'all, and there it is all blinged out. That 3D is nice and blingy, blingy, blingy. Now, you are going to see the seams, okay? If you don't like that, check out some of the other bling wraps that they have available because there's one that I know I've used before that is squares and circles, and when I have laid that out on certain things, it did not show the seams like that, but the regular bling wrap will. So that's something to be mindful of. Now, this part is not very complicated at all. All you're doing is peeling off the sticky back and laying these 5x5 mirror tiles along the area of the face of the letter. Now, in order to determine how many you need, it is length times width. But if you're not a math person, you can order a few of these, or I'll just tell you, hey, for a 4 foot by 2 foot L, I ended up needing about 32 of these to cover the entire face on both sides. All right, so I got 64 total for the L. I believe the V was 65, the E was 68, and the O was somewhere around 62 or 63. You will have extra left over, but you know that if that helps you, if you're going to make these like I did, you're welcome. Otherwise, you just kind of have to calculate the area and figure out how many of these you need. They're $8 a pack, and I got these from Amazon. This was my splurge, all right? This was definitely my splurge because it gets expensive to use these for a project like this, but I just saw it in my head and I wanted to go for it because mirrors make everything a lot more elegant. Be careful, this is glass. It does cut. Somebody yell, we got L. Somebody yell, we got L. This came out so pretty, you guys. This right here is not doing it justice. I cannot wait to take it to the courtyard and show you all 4 letters. But look at that face. This is going to sparkle to the heavens under the bright sunlight. Now, it's not a very sunny day out on my balcony, but I did want you to at least see the finished L before I show you the rest of the letters. This is where it has gotten totally exciting for me. To see it almost done is like, ah. So I love it. I hope you love it as much as I do. Okay, I'm gonna go finish the other letters. I'll be right back. All right, y'all, it's a dark screen because I had to unveil this. Are you ready? Because I'm ready, because I'm really loving how these came out. I'm about to back flip. Here we go. Da, 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 da. Look at that. Now, it was not a very sunny day. We had just lost the sun by the time we got all the letters from the house to the courtyard, but baby, these are amazing. And I can only imagine what they're going to look like when it's bright and sunny and they're sitting there off that glistening lake and you are going to be able to see it sparkling and shining. It's definitely going to be a picture moment. It's going to be a statement. We're going to get some fabulous wedding photos out of this, and I'm loving them, y'all. Oh my God. I don't know. I was so intimidated to do this, but I'm so glad that I took that leap of faith to try it, because what I was going to settle for was not going to be what I really truly wanted. And these 3D letters, 4 foot tall, 2 feet wide, 14 inches, well, actually 15 inches in dimension, came out amazing. Amazing. Look at this, y'all. Like, I'm so seriously amazed. I wasn't even going to try this. It's just something in my spirit said, before you pay that man, go to Home Depot and figure this out, because you know you can do it. I tell y'all all the time, the work of our hands are blessed, and I was doubting myself, but I'm so glad that I took the leap of faith. You don't even understand how I feel right now. This is the backside of them. I'm so glad that I did both sides of the faces. I just think it's going to give it that much more glamour, and I'm all about making sure that the finishes look good all the way around. These are going to be stunning. I mean, absolutely stunning. I'm so glad that I did not settle and pay $400 for that man set, or $250 to rent them. Hers were they were not quite like this. They were basic letters. They weren't in this font, and they were solid white. I'm so glad, because it cost me $280 to make these, y'all. $280 for the wood, the paint, the nails, the screws, the hammer, the bling wrap. The only thing that price does not include is the mirror tiles. That is where I splurged. I spent about another $215 because I needed so many, but it was worth it to me. So it made the project just under $500, which for me, that was fine, because I was going to pay $400 for plain letters that I really didn't want. I mean, I came out of this a winner. It wasn't the $3,000 that I would have paid for undecorated letters, painted plain white or not painted at all. And I only spent a little bit more than I would have to rent them. I own these, y'all. And I made these by the work of my own hands. Just stepped out on faith. Don't say what you cannot do. I didn't originally see the vision. I did not originally know how I was going to do this, but something said, just give it a try. Worst case scenario, you'll try it, you'll fail. And you know what? You don't even have to purchase the tools. If you don't want to buy the saw, Home Depot rents them out. But we did this in my small little apartment with a coffee table and my son sitting on the wood so it wouldn't move. We didn't even have a workbench, because I didn't realize till I got to the E that Home Depot does sell the little workbenches that you can buy. Nevertheless, we got it done with a handsaw, some nails, some screws, a hammer, and my baby, and it worked out. It worked out. Originally, I kept thinking I need a workbench and I need the major saw, because you can turn the wood and all of this and that. But you know what? We got it done. We got it done, and one of my biggest dreams came true. They're not light up, but they're glamorous. And I've never seen anything like these for rent or for sale anywhere. They don't sell them decorated, and they are worth so much because I made them out of solid wood. I will have these forever, short of a fire. And they're durable. They can take a licking and keep on ticking. You know what I'm saying? Because they're made out of wood. They're so solid. They're about, I want to say 15 to 20 pounds. My son said he felt like they were more like 40, 50 pounds each. I don't know that they were that heavy. I could lift it, but mostly they're awkward. So you're not going to be able to lift them high. They're not light. You probably do need another person to help you carry them. My son and my husband carried these to this courtyard so I could get pictures of them. And they weren't super heavy. Make sure you have a dolly. But this was so worth it. This was so worth the work and the time. Every burn, every scrape, every scratch, every trip back to Home Depot was worth it. Now, let me tell you my lessons learned. You already know that I learned a lesson about the paint. Because I was going to cover the letters, I really did not need expensive paint. Now, I'm grateful for the paint because under the sunlight, before the sun left, it was giving off a major sparkle underneath that bling that was so bomb. I wish I could have got photos of it. So it wasn't terrible. But if you're going to cover it like these, don't buy expensive paint, like I said. The wood did fight back. I showed you some clips of that. We broke a lot of drill bits and we stripped a lot of screws because sometimes some of the sections in the wood was just hard to get all the way through. So that's something to be mindful of when you're working with wood. You may want to talk to your Home Depot rep to find out what wood would be best for this project. I just kind of went for it. And given that it was my first time, I have no regrets, but that wood was a little costly. Still, I would purchase the wood again. Yes, you can make these out of particle board. You just got to talk to somebody about what the best finishing nails and screws are to use for that, because it does shred and strip up very, very easily. But other than that, this was an amazing project. I mean, this is so prophetic for us. This is so profound. This is personal for me. And I was literally in tears by the time I finished the E. I was like, God, you are so good. And I know everybody that follows me is not spiritual, but you just got to give me a moment to give God some praise. Because baby, when I tell you the work of our hands are blessed, they truly are. The only thing that I regret not doing is making a stencil. So I am going to go back and get some really thin wood and make stencils, because I may make the stencils for sale. So somebody else who wants to make this in 4x2 will already have a perfectly cut stencil to do this. And I may even sell these. Now, the way I'm going to make my money back is I'm going to rent these out, and renting these out, 2 times will make my money back, and 4 times will double my money. So it's definitely worth it. I know that locally there are going to be people that are going to go crazy for these if they're bling girls like me, because they're not plain. I'm going to put these on Etsy. I'm going to put these on Facebook Marketplace. And you know what? I would make these again for a client. I truly, truly, truly would, because these just came out so amazing. And now I know I can do it. So if you're worried about, making that dream come true, let me tell you, step out on faith, take a risk. Don't be afraid. Ask questions, do the research. I'm telling you, you are not going to regret it. As always, I want to thank y'all for tuning in. I know this video has gotten fairly long, so I'm going to shut up and stop talking. I will be back with another tutorial hopefully next week. I love y'all, and I just want to say thank you for always supporting me. And I want to give a shout out, because some of y'all so ride or die. I posted some of my work in a page, in an event page on Facebook, and there was people going in like, that's anointed to bling work. And I started cracking up, because I was like, I know that y'all don't necessarily hear me say my real name, Rein Johnson. So I was laughing, but I want to thank y'all, because y'all ride for me. And even though I'm not at 100,000 followers or 1 million followers, I am grateful for every follower, every subscriber, every time you tune in, even the haters. They keep me motivated. I just love y'all, and I want to say thank you. Remember, I always tell you the work of our hands are blessed. Don't be afraid to step out on faith and make your dream come true. Until next tutorial, y'all be blessed. I love you. Good night.